All-American. EFX.
Well, joining me on the phone today is Jeff Galini, the inventor of Karbolyn, and this is kind of a follow-up interview from what we did, a few weeks ago when we were first talking about what is Karbolyn, how does it work, that type of thing. And, some of the things I wanted to throw out there to you, Jeff, is, well, for one, I think we could all agree that the sales and the feedback we're seeing on this product is literally beyond any and all expectations we could have ever even dreamt of. I know you're having even, obviously, some production problems even just to keep up with the demand that's out in the marketplace.
This has been crazy. I've been in this industry for close to 30 years now, and there's been a lot of good products that have come and gone. This is the first time I've ever seen anything ramp up so fast and be so successful. It is quite crazy. We have taxed our production. We had just built and added on to our Karbolyn facility, and we're having to build another one just to keep up. So it is crazy. Well,
and I know we're quickly even taking over. You just put on that new warehouse that we're taking over a lot of the shelf space in there for storage and all the product that's going in and out. Again, I just know it's been a madhouse around your place.
It has been. Trying to get all the vendors, raw materials, everything, packaging. So yeah, it's been a madhouse, but we're gearing up, man, because it's only gonna get busier on this product.
Oh yeah, well, we're just getting this party started, as we like to say around here.
Yep.
Well, one of the things actually I wanted to cover, because this is like in any market where, for example, the iPhone market, it's very competitive, very, very competitive. I mean, I think that comes with the territory. We understand that. And what's interesting, and actually a lot of this is coming through our customers alerting us, is there are a lot of what we all call knockoffs showing up on the market. Everyone claiming that it's exactly the same or better. Everyone wants to recreate that iPhone, but they still obviously own that market. And when it comes to smartphones. So I guess with that being said, I wanted to let's just dispel some myths when it comes to Karbolyn, because I see this as a service to our consumer, whether they buy from us or not, and they're now looking at the carb market, wanting to get the best of the best, that kind of thing. It's very confusing to the consumer and even store owners who want to buy and resell this.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy. When I first got into this market, into this business, all the different brands tried to come out with innovative products, So each brand that was there, everybody tried to do something different. Now, I mean, this knockoff, it's crazy, because it'd be one thing if they were as good as the original, but they're terrible. They're not even close. They just try to get into that category with some inferior, some cheap product. Like you said, they try to make it look like Karbolyn as far as the wording goes. They might use carb or something. But again, it's such an terrible attempt, I guess I should say, that they ought to be slapped for it.
Well, you know what? I guess they always say, it's flattering to a point that people do try to. I mean, basically, they're showing that your product is good. But what you're seeing is names very similar to ours, or a twist or tweak here. I mean, now what's really interesting is a lot of these things are now even making the exact same claim. And I know
that's what gets irritating is I have to give my hats off to anybody trying to develop a product.
Of course.
Coming up with a similar name, come on now, give me a break. Be unique. If you can't be unique, go in a different market. But, basically taking our copyrighted information. I think what you're going to find is, we're, as the patent holders, are going to go after copyright infringement.
Okay.
Just because, we have made a lot of statements that are based on our research.
Sure.
When we start to see that people are copying that and trying to post that to theirs, I don't know if they're aware, but that's copyright infringement. That's why you put the little copyright on everything. So pretty stiff penalty for that. So we're gonna start going after all these folks for that.
Well, and like I said, some of our customers have actually emailed links to these online stores, wherever, and you read the product description, and you may as well just take that name out and put our product name in there. I mean, it's hilarious on one point to see that, but then you think, wait a minute, that's actually unfair to the consumer, and that's where it starts to tick us off. So how about this? How about this, Jeff? Yeah. Let's just dispel some of these myths right now. Anyone to claim that this is the same thing or an improved version, let's go back maybe to, for example, the development of this thing. when you first came up with the idea and started, prototypes, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, it took me over 7 years to develop Karbolyn. We've always had carbohydrates. As you know, years ago, I used to sell carbohydrates from yams and rice. And I've always been in that carb market, trying to make products that have carbs that are either absorbed quicker or have some time release, or different GI ratings. So that's kind of how it started. I thought it'd be a cool idea if you could have a carbohydrate that would be absorbed as quickly as sugar. If you remember, about 10 or 12 years ago, the fad was, take a bunch of sugar after a workout.
Sure. Oh, of course.
That's great for the 300-pound bodybuilders who are burning, 20,000 calories an hour. But for the average person, they all got fat. So I thought it'd be cool, man, if there was a way to develop something that was absorbed very quickly, yet was a complex carbohydrate, yet would be able to give you some sustained release. And that's kind of how the Karbolyn started. So it was years of work in progress. It wasn't until about maybe 4 years ago that I started to make some good advancements, where I could finally actually come out and file some patents on this process. So it was a lot of work in progress. Then, like any project, once you develop it in the lab, how are you going to scale up? How are you going to build this equipment now for production quotas? And that was the next big challenge was, how are we going to build this equipment to accomplish what we had developed in the lab?
Okay. Now, and it's interesting you say, so this was basically, 7 years in development, and I know you, within a year or two of that, I think it was around 2007, you started doing a lot of the actual research studies on, I should say, human studies. So we're going back 4 and 5 years, and then some of these newer brands, products, whatever's out there, again, are making the same or similar claims that have been out for, 2 months? Where's the research?
Yeah, and, I know most of the manufacturers where these products are being produced, and we all talk because they're all customers of mine. A lot of them buy Karbolyn or, some other branded ingredient that we might sell. So it's pretty funny when they give us a little heads up that, company A is coming out with a new product, and they just got the idea, last week. And then, like you said, they're making claims that they've been working on this for a long time.
Sure.
Well, I guess for them, 2 to 3 months is a long time.
Well, how about this? So number one, you said it's 7 years in development, give or take. Now, you also just mentioned there, too, about patent pending.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. I think most people forget that a patent is not a trademark.
Okay.
If you develop a new name that no one has used before, you can go and pay a certain fee and you can get a trademark on that name.
Sure.
And all it means is you've got a different name. To get a patent requires a lot of work. So again, my question is, where's the patents on all these other products if they're so great? They don't have it because they haven't developed anything new. All they're doing is selling waxy maize, something, that's already been out there, nothing new, been around for a long time. But, this Karbolyn is so unique that we were able to get a patent filed on it. And again, it's all about the manufacturing, the process, protecting our investment for what we had created that's different than what has ever been on the market.
Okay. Well, and I know, again, let's go back to the studies. Like I said, people are using our quote-unquote same claim, 80%, all the absorption rates, that type of thing.
Yeah, and that's pretty funny because it's quite a complex study to get an absorption rate. They haven't done it, especially when they use the same as what we have. Originally we were thinking we were going to be, 50, 80% quicker than dextrose. And again, I probably talked about it years ago, but when we actually got down to doing our clinical studies, we came out at 18.1%.
Okay.
You might say big deal. But that is a big deal because look at how quickly sugar is absorbed. We're talking 15 minutes. Karbolyn is into the bloodstream. You've got it ready for energy. It's funny how everybody else is coming up with 18% or 50% or 200%. What's next? 1,000%. I mean, it's almost to the point where I think consumers just start laughing. I mean, that's quick.
Well, and just kind of along those lines, again, let's talk about product quality and how here's a big one, how they go into solution. I know that's a big thing. The best product in the world, if it's a big clump of gel, you can't drink it.
Well, and that is the problem with waxy mazes and different types of starches is they don't go into solution. That was part of the whole Karbolyn patent, is to develop something that, number one, doesn't stick to your glass, doesn't turn to jelly in your glass,
your teeth,
doesn't stick to your teeth, doesn't settle out at the bottom of the glass. This is for, endurance athletes. It's for people who want to mix it up and drink in the gym or drink before. So you don't want all this stuff going on, which slows down the absorption. So the whole trick was, how do we get it so that it is water soluble? And again, that's what makes Karbolyn different than the rest, is that it is soluble. I've tried several of these so-called carbohydrate powders. I mean, you stick a spoon in there. I wasted a couple shaker glasses because I couldn't get it off the sides. It just sticks. It gels,
Right. Oh, of course. Well, and now this is an interesting one when we talk about, myths and that sort of thing. To quote unquote make Karbolyn work better, or whatever version of this thing is. Again, like I said, I've looked at probably a handful of these things. Some people say, the flaw in our product is it doesn't have all these extra goodies and additives or whatever you want to call these compounds to make it quote unquote work better. That actually, to me, the logic is completely wrong there.
It is. I mean, I saw a video the other day on YouTube somebody shared with me, and I tell you, I almost wet my pants. I was laughing so hard. Guy was picking up a bottle of some other carb, and I saw Karbolyn on the shelf in the store, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, well, this product is kind of stuttering." Obviously he was being spoon-fed the words. It's better than Karbolyn because it's got more things added. Oh, okay, wow. So I went and looked at the product, and it was like, okay, well, just carbohydrates, there's less carbohydrates, and why do you need to add all these things? If your carbohydrate is absorbed, 80 or 100 or 5,000 times quicker than sugar, what else are you going to add that's going to make it be absorbed any quicker? That makes no sense, because any organic compound that you're going to add to that is not going to be absorbed as quickly as sugar. So where's the science? Where's the proof? Where's the studies?
Sure.
Zero. Somebody just made that up to deceive the public that you need to add this stuff. You don't need to add anything with Karbolyn. That's why you can take Karbolyn by yourself, and it's absorbed. You don't need anything to help that absorption or, take anything along with it to make it better. So if anybody even out there tries to say, well, hey, buy this product and take it with Karbolyn because it will help enhance the delivery, don't waste your money.
Well, and didn't we basically discover the exact opposite, that when you take Karbolyn, it makes whatever you take with it work better?
That's exactly right. I mean, that's the whole thing behind Karbolyn, is it basically dumps into the stomach, so it's an awesome delivery. We have numerous customers that are using it for delivery systems and capsules. So it's just the contrary to what they have done. We have proven that it works the other way. Whatever is with Karbolyn, it will help absorb those ingredients faster.
Well, now, how about this? Let's go back to the production process. Sitting on our side of the table, we actually know how these things are made, and when it comes down to it, there's a given price for production. So on the flip side of that is people are in the consumer world are easily swayed when it comes to quote-unquote price. You can get this super-duper latest, greatest, whatever it is, but it's so much cheaper than the original. Well, like we say, you get what you pay for. So if that's the case, tell me, I think you've told me, the process to make this is very proprietary.
It is, and similar to the things we experienced with Krealkalyn, where what are we, 11 years now, going on 12 years? Mm-hmm. The same thing. There were a lot of knockoffs in the early days. All these new creatines coming on, and they've all came and went. The same thing is going to happen with all these carb products. People are going to try them. They're not Karbolyn. They're inexpensive. And again, like I said, I've made carb products for years. I can make you one for $2 a kilo. As a matter of fact, my recommendation to anyone out there, if you can't afford Karbolyn and you want an inexpensive carb product, just go buy some cornstarch at the grocery store. don't waste your money on paying for somebody's advertising and their marketing, because most of that stuff is nothing more than that.
Sure.
But the point is that, the equipment is very expensive. The research, all that goes into the cost of the product. All of the intermediates are not cheap. They're very expensive. So, again, Karbolyn is a fair price for what you get, something that actually does work. But, the equipment is expensive and takes up a lot of room.
Well, and did I hear you correctly? I think you either told me a little bit earlier or something that you had actually custom-built equipment because it had to be tweaked to get the exact result, or I should say the end result you were after.
And this is one of the reasons why it took so many years is, like I said earlier, is, you can go into the lab and develop something awesome.
Sure.
Because
of course.
My lab equipment is small, and a lot of times I have to redesign, I have to re-engineer, I got to have something made to be able to accomplish what I'm trying to get out of that. And that's what happened with this. I ended up having to modify several pieces of equipment numerous times over. I probably could have gotten a patent on the equipment, but that's not my deal, Then, now try to get somebody to build this, how do you scale this up? So, our first pieces of equipment, could only handle so much production, and we outdid that. We then had to try to scale that up, and that's where we're at right now, is trying to figure out how we can scale this up, because when you go bigger, it's not the same as when it's smaller. It's harder to control the process. You got more variables that are going in. So it is a challenge.
So at the end of the day, I think what I'm hearing here is you, number one, have a proprietary process. There are proprietary ingredients. The way you're actually doing this and the equipment to produce the end result, there's no way to copy that. I mean, how could someone say they do the same exact thing?
No, you're not going to copy it, and if you do copy it, you're infringing on my patent. So,
Which goes back to where we started that, especially once that patent issues, there's going to be some serious issues afoot, as they say.
Well, absolutely. We do protect all of our intellectual property to the fullest extent of the law, and we will with Karbolyn, as we have done with Karbolyn and the rest of the items.
Well, and I think one thing that's important to look at when it comes to products, and who do you believe? I mean, at the end of the day, that's a big problem. Who do you trust? And I think part of that comes back to looking at the track record of the people behind it. And I know you're the first to say that you've had some greatest hits and greatest misses.
Well, absolutely. I mean, for every hit, I probably had 25 mistakes. When I first came out with Karbolyn, I never had any patented items, but, people knew me for all of my arginine AKG research and innovation, and then, to creatine monohydrate and so on. So I always say that, look at the track record of who has developed something. And I'm not saying I'm the best or I'm the only one. There's a lot better chemists and developers out there than me. But again, look at what they have on the market. You can be the best in the lab, but if you haven't been able to take anything and commercialize it, then to me that's a flop. Because I got a bunch of stuff I've done in the lab, as most of these universities who do tons and tons of research, but they have no way of commercializing it. It's not practical. It's not affordable. So, so I've had a lot of flops. One in particular I always remember years ago, probably when you were a little kid, bromelain became very, very popular. And I tried to bring to market this liquid bromelain. And by the time I got it produced and in a bottle and a label, it was about 4 weeks after the craze. It already come and went, and I was stuck with, 500-600 bottles. So that was one of my most memorable flops. But I'm always also the first to admit if somebody has done a good job. And that's what a lot of people can't do. They can't congratulate somebody on coming up with something. I remember another story when the whey business was just starting. That was a big product for us back in the 80s. We were at the forefront of that. And I thought I had developed the best whey product. Now, I was a little younger and a little more arrogant at the time. So I thought no one was ever going to come out with a better whey. So I put out a challenge that if anybody could find a better product, send it to me. And if I liked it, I'd give them $500. And sure enough, my friend Dave Jenkins came out with designer whey. It was better than what I was making. So I don't remember who the individual was, but he got $500 from me because he showed me something was better. So again, a good formulator always has to recognize someone else when they've done something better. At the same token, you got to recognize the track record, of something. And I think with the success of Karbolyn to this day, and the success over the last 11, 12 years of Kralklyn, just to mention a couple of the successes, that's the track record.
Oh, well, and that's kind of a cool offer you said. I remember designing way back in the early to mid 90s when that first hit.
Yeah, it was great, and it wasn't to say that, they were better than any of us. We were just doing, whey a certain way. And, Dave came up with a way to make that whey instantized, and he had a nice flavor system. He had a nice label claim, and that's why they were very successful,
Well, but I guess you could say that's the same thing you did in creating Karbolyn.
Absolutely. Really, I think that there was a lag in the market. Back then, there were other protein sources. They came up with it better. There really hasn't been good carbs for the last 15 years. The world has been on this low-carb thing.
Sure.
And a lot of athletes have been deceived that they don't need carbohydrates, where that's just the opposite. Your diet needs to be rich in carbohydrates. So again, most athletes know that, but a lot don't. They got caught up into that whole zero carb thing, high fat, high protein, and that's the worst thing for an athlete. So I think that we actually filled a void in the marketplace. This product not only is Karbolyn absorbed very quickly, it also has a sustained tail, meaning that you're going to have sustained glucose levels for up to 2 hours, which is pretty cool. So that's why it makes it very universal. Not only can strength athletes, bodybuilders, powerlifters use it because it kicks in very quick, endurance athletes can use it because it lasts so long. So they don't need to sit there and take in sugar while they're riding a bike. They just need to take a drink of this Karbolyn, a half hour before they go. And depending on how long they're riding, they can replenish right on the road without, having those insulin spikes from just taking pure sugar.
Oh, right. And actually, I just thought of something. You mentioned about your challenge. How about we do something like this? Again, my heart is for the consumer at the end of the day, and I know that some people are going to try any of this other stuff out there. Who knows what's going to come out next week? I mean, we know how the game works. Do you remember you did that run you were telling me about? It was going to be specific for Europe. I think it was a customized flavor or something like that. And I know you made a big, literally a ton of it.
Oh, yeah, I call it, we do it on a regular basis. I call it Scandinavian Punch.
Okay. How about we reallocate a pretty good portion of that? And basically, compliments of All-American EFX, Flex Wheeler, everyone on our team, how about we do this? Our office is going to be too small to accept this, but how about we say to anyone out there who hears this and you've bought one of these things, I don't care if you've used a tenth of a scoop of the thing, if you haven't even opened it, you send that bottle to your facility up there, and we'll then send them back a replacement based on that run. Is that something you think we could set up with you guys?
Yeah, you know what? I'll even throw some skin in the game. We'll just put our cost in it for you guys. So I'll go ahead and package it and stick a label on there. Again, because we want people to use Karbolyn, and it's a way of showing them that we can send out a single serving packet, but how about a whole bottle?
Yeah, exactly.
People are. I was a consumer like you were a consumer before I was in the industry, and I bought a lot of junk based on what I read in the magazine or what that guy coming to my door was selling my mom on. And half the stuff didn't even use because it tasted terrible. But at the end of the day, it was the spiel, the marketing campaign that made us buy it, and then we were disappointed and too embarrassed to go get our money back. And I'm sure that's what most people, you buy something and you would rather throw it out than go back to the store. First of all, it probably cost you $20 in gas to recoup your $20. So I think that's great, Let's send them a bottle, and then you know for sure that if you want a carbohydrate powder, Karbolyn is what you want to use.
Well, and let me just be very clear here. I mean, I'm talking about doing this for free. I don't know what it's going to cost for somebody to ship their bottle to your facility, but what we're saying is that we're going to give them this product for free. We're going to ship it to them on our dime. Again, this is anywhere in the United States. Let me make that clear too. But I'd rather invest in these people and show them what the real deal is. And in fact, let me do this. Let me just give out your address real quick. It's All American Pharmaceutical, not to be confused with All American EFX, All American Pharmaceutical, 2376 Main Street, Billings, Montana, 59105.
And just put it on there, attention, Karbolyn offer, Karbolyn.
Okay.
And then I'll see those, and we'll go ahead and get those into stock. Assuming you're going to be sending out an awful lot of those, Brian, because I'm sure a lot of people have tried a lot of different products, based on similar videos that I saw. People in stores work off commission sometimes. So.
Oh, sure. Well, and hey, look, at the end of the day, I'd rather put my money where my mouth is. Anyone can say there you have the better mousetrap, but I think this is probably the single best way to serve the customer, and just let them decide for themselves. Forget everything we've just said in this interview. You try it yourself, and you'll see the difference. Yep. So again, on the other side of the fence, if you have found a product that you like out there and you think it's better than Karbolyn, you send me a bottle, and if I like it better than Karbolyn, I'll give you $500. I'll make the same. Well, there you go.
Same statement that I made several years ago, except this time I know I won't be giving out the $500.
Wow, that's awesome. So again,
I'm willing to try.
Yeah. So again, we'll say Karbolyn offer, All American Pharmaceutical, 2376 Main Street, Billings, Montana, 59105.
That's it.
Okay. Well, I think honestly that about wraps it up, and it's gonna be really curious to see if anybody does, take us up on that, because again, this is gonna be on our dime. I want to put my money where my mouth is. Forget 20 pages of ads in magazines, whatever. Let's just let the product speak for itself.
And if you're not sure what Karbolyn is, you can also go to www.karbolyn.com, and you'll get the description, benefits. You'll see the studies. Some of the studies are on that site now, so at least give you some information.
Sure.
Maybe you spend your $2 to send your used bottle back, or whatever you've got left.
Oh, sure, no problem. And you can also get more information, too, at www.aaefx.com, and you just hit the drop-down list on the products, and Karbolyn's sitting right there. Download some studies, we got videos, the whole 9 yards. But regardless, we just want to, again, make this type of offer out to the consumer. I'd rather them just see for themselves.
Sounds good.
Awesome, Jeff.
Go, folks.
Well, look, I gotta let you get back in the lab and make me some good stuff.
I'm working on something new, so save that for the next call.
Awesome.
All right, bye.
All right, Jeff, thank you so much.
EFX! Real drug-free muscle built here.